This is Baruch Fleischman here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and so now we're going to learn a shtickle zohar. Pay attention to the language of Rebbe Shimon. It's very easy language to learn if you practice it. So we're in Parshas Pinchas, and we're going to go take a look because we've been working on this for a couple of years now. We're going to come back. And basically, what's going on in this section of the Parshas Pinchas is he is analogizing the breathing process, or that is the organs within the body, to Kabbalah. Because actually the basic Kabbalah that we're learning is also in our physicality. So he's bringing the places where we can see it. Let's listen to the words of Rebbe Shimon. Then we'll look at the Matak B'Davash. Pasuk the Rai Mehemna. We all know, we've heard this before, the Rai Mehemna. Let me get it down here and start it again. This is a section called Rai Mehemna. That means these are the words of, I'm not sure exactly how we understand it, but of Moshe Rabbeinu coming into the shir and speaking. It says, Pasuk Rai Mehemna Moshe Rabbeinu v'Omer, and he says like this, V'ayilon the b'nei Nasha, woe to men, the inan timin libo, that their hearts are stopped up, steaming einayim, and their eyes are closed, lo yadim evarim the gufehem, that they don't understand the organs of their bodies, Almal inan mistaknim, what is the basis for their existence, and how is it that the heart works like it does, and the lung works like it does, etc., etc., etc. All the congealing that brings that in. He says like this: the whole kona tlas chelin kalilin beit. In the windpipe, there are three powers that are found in the windpipe. Chad, Hevel d'ihu lahav eish nafek min liba. One is vapor, or Hevel. What is Hevel is breath. What is breath? He says that this is a column of smoke, the nafek min liba, that comes out of the heart. The heart works hot. Vispalag the sheva havolim the omer kohelas, and then it divides itself into 7 different havolim, which are different breaths or airs or vapors that are described in Kohelas. Tenyana, then the second koach, avir da'ahol v'gabe milvar. This is air that is taken in through the throat, that comes into it from outside. Talisor, the third one, maim the kanfe rea. This is the moisture. It's like if you breathe on glass, you'll see that there's moisture that is left behind. Maim the kanfe rea. This is the water in the lobes of the lung. The inan divukim bekona. All of these 3 things cling or attach to the windpipe. And mitlas ilan is a aved kol. Now these 3, that is the air, the hot vapor, the water. What was the third one? Air that comes from the outside, you breathe in. So we're talking about 2 aspects that are inside of the body and 1 aspect that comes from the outside. So we have here these 3 things, mayim, ruach, and eish. Ispaleg kol chad l'shiva. So each one of them is divided into 7. B'inun sheva lohavi shiva haviros. So these 7, they come along with them 7 different types of airs? Shiva Nachlin, 7 different streams. Now let's look and see what the Matak B'Davash, reading the Matak B'Davash only. He says, Oy lahem the b'nei Adam, shehem atumei leiv, whose hearts are stopped up, ve'enei shechsichlam, and the eyes of their minds, stumos, are closed. They don't realize that what's going on inside of them and the makings of how their bodies work is coming from panimiut. She'inun yodin soder shal evari gufam. They don't know the secrets of the organs of their bodies. Al mahe mistaknim, exactly how do they come to be as they are. Let me see if I can get a little bit more light on that. Here we go. So he says, wants to say like this: built into the body and the organs are many different kohos. Because we see that there are 3 different powers that are incorporated in the windpipe. Koach echad, so one of the powers, hu hevel, it's breath. Shuhu a lahav. Zehedel is also the word lahav, which means a column of fire. A lahav eish. It's hot. Hayotzim in a lave, and it's coming out of the heart. Behind the koich ha'eish mitzad gevura, that is the power of fire that's found on the left side of the heart, which is the side of gevura. V'hu nechloch, and then that is divided. Keneged ha'sheva spiros hakolulin begevura, with the 7 spiros, which are also included in gevura. Which I guess what he means by that, in Gevura itself is 10 spheros. And this is really talking about the spheros from the level of the chest, which is Chesed, Gevura, Tiferes, Netzach, Hod, Yisod, and Malchus. Koach Hasheni, so the second Koach, Ha'avir HaNiknas Alav Minachutz, is breathing in. So first you have the breath that's coming from the heart, which is hot. Now you have air, which is coming in from the outside. He says, Ki HaKona, that is the windpipe, Shoev es avir l'soch hareya, it draws in air into the lung. V'ha'avir hu mitzad ha'tiferes, so air itself is from the side of tiferes. Now, I'm not sure exactly how I understand that, but it's what he says. He says that air is from the side of tiferes. So now you have gevura and tiferes. So then the next one is, he says, v'akoach ha'shlishi hu ha'mayim shel kanfei hareya, is the water that is found on the lobes of the lung, in other words, in the lungs. Shein devukim bekona, they also attach themselves to the windpipe. Derek hakona, because this is what goes on with your windpipe. Derek hakona show ebis, let me get this right, ebis areya as a mayim min aveshet, so that it takes water from the esophagus. And we understand water, the concept of water is always the concept of chesed in Kabbalah. And Bagimel Kochel Zelos, so from these powers, Na'asach Kol, this is how the voice is created. Shehu Kol, because it incorporates within itself, this is Mayim, Ruach, and Eish, Shehem Keneged Chagat, which corresponds to Chesed, Gevurah, and Tiferes. So in the lungs you have, or the windpipe, he's saying specifically, you have a gathering together of these 3 kochos. So this is the basis of where our voices come from. Shu kol, and it has within it, he says, Mayim v'ruach v'eish, shehem keneged chagat, which we said previously. I'm not thinking of reading it again the second time, I'm not sure. And it's palad called chesed, called echad the shev. And each one of the 7s gets divided into each one of them, that is the water, the fire, and the air, is divided into 7 parts too. V'nechla kol echad l'sheva chalokim. Neged, sheva sphira sheyesh b'kol echad mechagat. Because in the chagat, chesed gevurah tiferes also includes within it netzach hod yisod and malchus. V'hem sheva lahavos mitzad gevurah. So these are the 7 different flames, columns of flame that are found in Gevurah. Shiva Rabirim, there are 7 airs, Misad Teferes, Shiva Nachle Mayim, and there are 7 brooks or streams of water, Mitzad Chesed. Now let's go over to the next part and see what the next paragraph tells us. So let's read on and try to understand the words of Rebbe Shimon. This is all Aramaic. This is Western, what they call Western Aramaic. So he said, "Arum lahavim deliba." When are awakened or aroused, the columns of fire in the heart. Ba'avi mitra de'inin kanfe reya, and this fire enters in to the clouds, rain clouds. What are the rain clouds? The rain clouds are the lobes of the lung. Now we're talking about the windpipe, and the windpipe connects to all of these organs. Orach kona v'dereya. So all of this passes through the windpipe, which is connected to the lung. Hai ihu v'ram gavurosov mi yizbainin. So this is the meaning of this phrase. V'ram gavurosov, so are thundering his power is gavura. Mi is bainin. Who, mi, is another word for bina, the 50th shar. Mi is 50, is bainin, will understand. B'bei, lev, mevim, bebina, because in this, I said, lost, let me get this back right. Umine debe lev mevin bebina, the heart understands using bina. Dihi believer, the smaller gevura, because bina has a lodging place in gevura, which is on the left side of the heart. V'chesed, now the concept of chesed, which is the opposite of gevura, liyamina, would be on the right side of the heart. Over there, in regards to the lungs, we have mayim de kanfe rea. We have the water, which is found in the lobes of the liver. B'taman chachma moch. So the basis of that, the root of that, is the moach, which is called chachma. Umenei ma'ayin ganim ber mayim chayim v'nozlim min lavonim. Let's go through the words. He says this is the meaning of these words. There's a wellspring that springs water forth to the gardens, to places where growth takes place. Ber mayim, it is a spring of water, of living waters, like a spring. V'nozlim min lavonim, and they flow out from the white place. The white place is chachma. This is the whitening of the mocha, that the basis of the right line, which is the line of chesed, is chachma. Nozlim al kona dereya, so they flow until they reach that aspect of the kona, the windpipe, that's connected to the reya, to the lungs. Basar, and then after that, the istalko anonim debina legabe mocha. Then after that, I'm not sure what they mean. The translation is talco, they leave the anonim, these clouds of bina, legabe mocha, to join themselves together with this moach. Now, with the moach, we're talking about chachma. A little bit difficult for me to hear it, so let's look at the matok b'devash, reading the light print only. V'chosa to the vogue of the elo, so we'll go back to what he was originally talking about. So what happens is that the kona, he's saying, is a mixing bowl or a mixing line. Which is coming, which is coming out of the heart. Ba'anani hamatar, with clouds of rain clouds, shehim kanfe hareya, which is another word for the lobes of the lungs. He says derek kona hareya, and they actually meet on the path of the windpipe, the windpipe connected to the lungs. Now, we need a little explanation, so the Mata B'Devash says, so when the fire that's in the heart, and the water that is found in the lungs, they run into each other, that's the basis of making a voice. He says, Al Emor, so we have this pasuk, Varam Gavurasav. He says, and the thundering of his might, Ki Iker HaRa'am, so he says the root of thunder, the kol, which he's analogizing to the concept of a voice. Ba Misad Esha Gavura Hayotze Min Alev, it comes from the side of the fire of Gavura, which is on the left side, which comes from the heart. So me, then he says this word me. Me refers to Bina, be the 50th gate. Shehi Bina. Libo, a heart, also refers to the heart. The heart, the lave, mizbaining, is mizbaining. The heart understands. Bo yizbaining, the hainu, this is where understanding comes from. The hainu, let's move over here. Shabo halev maybe bebina, that in that place, in the place of, what did he say? Ki ikaha re'em, the thumb, the sound. He says the kav shaboha lev mevin bevina. I'm still not sure what he means, that from this sound, then the heart can understand by using bina. Shera bebina hi belev l'smol shehut tzad gevura, because the bina has an extension into the heart, is on the left side of the heart, and is shehut tzad gevura, which is the side of gevura, which is an extension of bina. Ki shorsha gevura, because the root of gevura, who bebina shibarosh kav small, is in the bina that is at the head of the left line. Hamizgala belev, which is revealed in the heart. Shemisham hu hamayim shibakanfe hareya, which is where you find once again the konet, the lungs, is where you find the water. So there, on this right side, because in the we understand the Kabbalah in terms of three lines. The line of Chachon, which is Chesed, Chochma, Chesed, and Netzach, and Baga, which is Bina, Gevura, and Hod. And then the last one is called Dati, which is Das, Ferris, and Yisod, maybe possibly Malchus. So depending on what you want to talk about. So he says that these are the lines. The line of the right, the line of the water, which is Chesed, has its root in Chochma. Hu Chochma Shebekanfei Areya. So he said, B'sham B'tzad Yomim. So now over there on this right line, Hu Muach HaChochma Sheberosh Kav Yomim is the Muach of Chochma which is at the head of the right line. And Chochma was really the root of where water comes from. Yotze, that is to say, V'hainu, Shehu Yotze min Lavnunis Muach HaChochma. So he's saying that Chochma is white. The concept of white in Kabbalah is a concept of purity, lack of sin, lack of corruption. So this water, which has its root in Chochma, flows down into the kone, the windpipe, which is attached to the lungs. Why? In order that should be able to cool off the heat that comes naturally out of the heart. Behind the heart is a place of passion, so he said it goes like that. So after you see that have gone up the clouds of awakeness, of Abina, to the Muach called Chachma. So the Eid Ya'ala Min Ha'aretz. So what he said, let me read this. Acha Sha'ala Anane is ordered the Sabina. So the clouds, which are the wowsel of Bina, Al Muach HaChochma, and they are aroused over to the Muach HaChochma, which contains the water. So the Eid Ya'ala Min Ha'aretz, because the Aretz represents Malchus, which is the lowest place. So in this case, he's tying it over to the female aspect, which would be Bina, possibly. So this is what he wants to say. They come down the waters of Chesed, Min Muach El Reya, from the Muach to the Reya, the Kara from the Muach, that is the Muach, which is Chochma, to the lungs. And what do the lungs do? They provide water, the Karas Eish HaGevura Shebelev, in order to cut down, to cool off the Gevura that's in the heart. And that's where we stop right today. This is Baruch Fleischman. It's a nighttime shir, Parshas Pinchas.